Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you and yours wherever you are on the World Wide Web. You are listening to Let's Talk, brought to you by the Men Empowered Radio Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network at blogtalkradio.com. My name is Maurice Herron, also known as Brother Malachi, for another edition of Let's Talk. If you'd like to join in on our show conversation while we are here live, you can hit us up at 347-205-9279. And yes, the chat room is open. So if you'd like to join in on us on your computer, feel free to go ahead and ask questions to our very special guest right here on Blog Talk Radio. For those of you all who are joining us via phone, if you'd like to have any questions concerning our guest as well as to me, you can press 1 on your phone and we will plug you right into our conversation. So it's going to be a very, very good show. Today is June the 12th, Wednesday, 2013. And my special guest today is Mr. Vernon Floyd, right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Mr. Floyd is the owner of WORB-AM, WJMG-FM, as well as WGDQ-FM, right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So we will be joining with him in about maybe a couple of minutes or so, and we're going to get into it and have a conversation with Mr. Vernon Floyd right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We'll be right back. So for those of you who are joining us via phone, you press 1 on your phone and we will plug you right in to our show conversation. And thank you all for joining us right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi for this special edition of Let's Talk. We have on the air with us, joining us via phone. And for those of you all who are also listening to us via phone, you press 1 on your phone and we will plug you right into our show conversation. And you can ask any question that you have on your mind to Mr. Vernon Floyd. Good afternoon, Mr. Floyd. How are you today, sir?
Pretty good. How are you, Mr. Herron?
Yes, sir. I am doing well as can be on this beautiful Wednesday we have here. First of all, Mr. Floyd, I want to thank you and your staff for inviting the Men Empowered organization to do the commentaries on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And it has been and still is a great pleasure to do that every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on WJMG 92.1 on your FM dial. Mr. Floyd, I was telling the audience that you are a legend, a living legend, an icon here in the state of Mississippi, as well as a legend in your own time, creating this network that you have, circuit broadcast system here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And
thank you very much for the compliment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming here to Mississippi and for getting things started here in Mississippi. And could you let the audience know, kind of give them a bio to let them know where are you from originally and how you got started here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi?
I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama. I was chief engineer of a radio station there for about 11 years. But I wanted to go into an area where there was a need and there was no exposure for blacks. There was no ownership of radio stations in the state of Mississippi. I think we were the first in the state of Mississippi and the seventh in the United States. The thrust of my effort was to serve black people in particular and in general the total community.
Okay. Wow, that is wonderful. To be the seventh black-owned station in the United States.
That's right.
And you did it at a time when the civil rights era was really kind of getting into focus a little bit as far as us having equal rights.
That's true. I knew there was a challenge and there was some reservations, but there was a pressing need in the city of Hattiesburg. That's what led me on.
Okay. Looking at your bio here, you went to the prestigious Tuskegee Institute or Tuskegee University.
That's right. I have a degree from Tuskegee Institute, and I taught advanced electronics at Carver State Technical Trade School in Mobile before coming to Hattiesburg.
Okay. Wow. I tell you, Mobile has produced a lot of people if you want to say, getting into the limelight. And I can remember Hank Aaron also is from Mobile, Alabama.
Hank Aaron is from Mobile. That's right.
Wow. Did you have any hesitation on when you found out that there was a feasibility study in Hattiesburg, Mississippi? Was there any other place in Mississippi that you wanted to go to besides Hattiesburg, Mississippi?
Well, I looked at an area of 150-mile radius from Mobile before deciding on Hattiesburg and checked out every city within that radius. And I figured that Hattiesburg held the greatest potential for economic growth. And that's why my mind fell on and stayed on Hattiesburg. It seems as if it was under providential supervision, let me put it that way.
Wow, that is something. What kind of challenges did you have getting started with the station once you decided that you wanted to start it right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi?
Well, I had no challenges worth talking about. The greatest challenges came from the black community. Once I got here, then I met with some opposition from the black community here and there.
Okay. Challenges from our own people far as getting started or basically supporting you.
Well, getting started, it's something strange and something new. It was, at least. And there were those who wished to counteract the efforts that we had put forth.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it first. 1969. The challenges that we had, basically, you're saying, Mr. Floyd, was basically a little bit from our own people as far as getting started. And, okay, so you had no opposition from the white community as far as getting started?
Very little, if any. There were those who felt that it would hurt their brothers who were in broadcasting, but as far as putting forth concerted effort to stop us from doing this, there was none that's worth talking about from the white community.
Okay. I can remember, now I am telling my age, I am 55 years old. And at that time, I can remember my aunt telling me, have you heard this new radio station? I said, what new radio station? She said, WORV. I said, oh yeah? And so I turned on the radio station, and it was something to hear our people broadcasting and playing our music. If I can remember back in the old days, for those of you all who are listening to us, you're probably saying the AM. You mean to tell me they had AM radio stations? Because, you know, everything now, a lot of people are listening to FM, the internet, they're on their smartphones and everything. Technology has changed so much. I can remember back in the old days, on the AM, there was a station here growing up. If I was listening to any kind of music, that was WXXX. You remember that station?
Yes, I do. They are not in business now.
Right, right. Yes, I can remember them. They played something, and I think I really wasn't into music that much. I think I hadn't made that transaction far as watching television so much. Of course, we only had one station to watch, and that was WDAM. And if you had a great antenna or a good antenna, you were able to pick up sometimes WLOX out of Gulfport.
Yes.
For those of you all who are just now born, and this may be ancient to you all, but our media that we used to listen to, and when I got into music, we had our station, WORV, and then also we used to pick up on the AM, we used to pick up a lot of stations on the AM out of town and out of state. I can remember at nighttime, because Mr. Floyd, you all were a daytime station at the time.
That's right. You had WLAC, no doubt, out of Tennessee.
Right. Right. I was going to say that. Everybody, you know, when we went off the air in the AM, we listening to, you know, to hear our music, our culture, our music. It was WLAC, broadcasting out of there. What do you like, Mr. Floyd? Our next question here is from our audience. What is your passion on that you like to talk about to our people? What is your passion that you love to talk about to get across to our people?
Well, we have done several editorials on the air dealing with unity and cutting out the slave mentality, the cutthroat mentality, let me put it that way, that really sets us back into slavery with chains of slavery forged by our own people sometimes, because when you make progress, you also make enemies sometimes too.
Right. That's that Willie Lynch syndrome that that we find that our people still are living under that today. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you heard of Dr. Claude Anderson,
yes.
because, yes, I've heard of him, and Beth Smith brings him on frequently. And the thing...
I'm familiar with Claude Anderson and what he presents, and he presents some down-to-earth things that will make for progress for black folk if they will only listen to it.
Exactly. The thing that I find about our people is we love to be entertained, but we don't have that balance.
Yes.
And if we could just get that balance in our people to not just let the world know that we can dance, we can sing, and we can act, but there is knowledge within us. And
That's
the
right.
past, I want to say maybe the past 10 years, and I've had my talk show now for about 5 years, a lot of knowledge has been opening up to me about our people. And this has been a journey for me because Willie Lynch has did a tremendous or had a tremendous effect on our people far as our progress. And yes, sir, go ahead.
That's true. I agree with you there.
And the past years that I have been learning, I found out that we are a great people, and what has happened with the way Willie Lynch has done to us, it has divided our people. And like you said, you want to bring unity to our people, and if we can ever get unified, we could accomplish even more than what we are or have accomplished within the past in this country that we live in, the United States of America.
Yes, that's true.
Have you ever looked back, and I think I may be kind of jumping the gun if I ask you about as far as asking you this question. I wanted to ask it down the road, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it now. If you can do it all over again, would you change anything, or would you start things differently?
No, the only thing that I would change, I would not put too much trust in people. I have been heard many times about even church-going people, religious people, preachers, and educators, or in some cases, politicians. But I've been heard many times by people as such in the black community.
We hurt our own selves, our own people.
Yeah.
We hurt our own selves.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Floyd, I tell you what, I hope that statement that you just made radiate through our people, through our community, to let them know that we ourselves bring our own selves down.
We are our worst enemy. We could become a dynasty if we could get rid of that kind of attitude.
Exactly. Willie Lynch has really did a number. And you're familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson as well as I am. And as a matter of fact, some of the history that he tells listening in, we don't hear that in the public school system these days. They will not speak on that. You really have to search out this type of information about our people and what we did. I can remember Dr. Claude Anderson talking about John Horse, talking about the state of Florida, talking about Fort Negro. Our people don't know anything about this. And the reason is that we love to be entertained, and we really don't really care too much about our history as long as we're comfortable. And I can remember this old saying. A gentleman told me about this story about this hound dog with his master, and there was these two gentlemen, and I hope people can relate to me. when they hear this message. I've told it before, and I hope they understand what I'm about to say. There was these two gentlemen sitting on their porch, and there was this hound dog, and this hound dog was laying on his side, and it was kind of a nice breezy type afternoon or evening, and it was nice and cool. The two gentlemen heard this hound dog just kind of barking out like he had some trouble, and he was just kind of barking like woo, and that's the best I can do to sound like this particular hound dog. And the gentleman asked the other gentleman, "What's wrong with him?" "Oh, he's laying on a board." "He's laying on a board?" "Yeah, he's just laying on a board. And that board has a nail in it."
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman said, "Well, he's laying on a board, and that board, that piece of wood board, has a nail in it?" He said, "Yes." "Well, I know that's got to hurt. Why don't he get up and get off of that board with the nail in it?" He said, "Well, he just feels so comfortable laying on that board with the nail in it. It's just something that he just likes doing. It's just really something that he likes." See, well, if I was him, and if that board with the nail in it was hurting, I would get up off that so I wouldn't hurt no more. And the other gentleman said, "Well, he's laying on there, and that nail is sticking him, but it don't hurt that bad." Now, that was the answer that the other gentleman had to say about the hound dog. He's hurting, but it's not hurting that bad. So
yeah.
instead of him getting up off the board with the nail in it, this hound dog decides to just still lay there and just be in agony and not do anything about it. And I hate to use that analogy, but sometimes I feel that's the way our people are. We're not hurting bad. We're not in a state of we're almost in a state of depression, but we're not dying, but we're slowly dying. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude sometimes I feel when I tell our people about what a great people we are and giving them the history of our people. And for me to research and to find out about our people and what we have done in the past, because our forefathers, when we find out who our forefathers are and what they did, we will have this pride about ourselves to let us know, say, well, wait a minute, this is incredible. And when I found this information out about our people, this makes me want to get up and just tell the world about who we are as a people, and we're not just mediocre type people. You understand what I'm trying to say?
That's right. Civilization started on the continent of Africa between the Tigris, Nile, and the Euphrates River Valley. The Garden of Eden is found in Africa. And when church folk talk about Moses going down in Egypt, that's on the continent of Africa. And we have a lot of advancement in knowledge and learning coming from the continent of Africa, such as the pyramids of Egypt. Africans knew something about embalming. They knew something about mathematics. The hieroglyphics, they had a way of communicating and writing. They were great navigators. Some of the greatest people in the world come from the ranks of black people, the greatest scientists, the greatest boxer, the greatest theologian, but black people don't realize that heritage. All races sprang from the black community. I remember most vividly at Tuskegee, on the Booker Washington Monument, I remember these words: "We will rise in proportion as we learn to glorify and dignify labor and put brains and skill into every occupation of life." But sometimes the modern-day black person wants to wait until somebody else develops something. They want to go in and take it or destroy it. And if they can't do that, they'll get mad with you. That was a man, I remember at Tuskegee, one of my classmates. We had a drawing class, architectural and mechanical drawing. He told me, say, "Floyd, if you see he didn't use those words. He said, in fact, he said, if you see a black person down, put your foot on his neck and keep him down." I said, "No, that's not the way. I've always wanted to help somebody." There's a song that says, "If I can help somebody as I pass along, or if I can cheer somebody with a word of song, if I can show somebody they're going wrong, then my living will not be in vain." But years later, after I left Tuskegee, I can understand what my classmate was trying to tell me. The very same person that you try to help will turn and cut your throat if they have the opportunity to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've experienced that myself as well. Mr. Floyd, what do you see with your 3 stations? What do you see with them, and where do you want them to go within the near future? What is your vision now that you have 3 networks, 3 stations that encompass your network? What is your vision for the future for them?
I would love for these stations to stand as an eternal monument as to what can be accomplished by black folk who put themselves to the task of accomplishing something. I would like for it to stand as a fulfillment of Dr. King's dream of opening doors of opportunity, not only of freedom of speech, but freedom of opportunity, not only along literary lines, but along technical and religious lines as well.
Yes, absolutely. Who is your mentor in radio?
Well, I don't know of any. I just had the compelling urge when I grew up as a little boy, about 12 or 13 years old. I was taken with cat whisker radios and tinkering with little motors and things. And from that day on, I think it was providential that I would take the path that I have been led in.
Wow, that's great. That is great there. Do you still go often back to your hometown of Mobile, Alabama? You still have relatives there?
Occasionally I do. During the war-torn years, there was an instructor in electricity in Mobile. He said, if you're going to be an electrician, be a darn good electrician. So I didn't want to do a job half-heartedly in anything that I've tried to do. I think that has accounted for most of the progress that I've made.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Floyd, I tell you what, you probably don't remember me, but you have inspired me. You are one of my mentors, and this is the reason why I got into broadcasting. When I was in high school, I knew what I wanted to do when I was in high school. You had your black-owned radio station, and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to get into broadcasting. And when I was in high school at Hattiesburg High School, I was over our broadcast program in journalism. We had a radio show that we did in our journalism broadcasting, and that seed right there planted into me. We took our show and you allowed us to broadcast on your show every Saturday for about 30 minutes what was going on at Hattiesburg High School. I graduated from the class of 1976, and I used to travel back and forth to New Orleans, Louisiana. And at that time, after I graduated, I had a scholarship to go to William Carey University. It was in journalism. I also wanted to pursue and get my license at Elkins Institute of Technology in New Orleans, Louisiana. And at that time, I went down, I transferred my job. I was in the restaurant industry, trying to make a living for my family at that time. I got married when I was very young. We went to New Orleans, and I was going to get in and get ready to start my dream. There was an internship opening at WYLD New Orleans, FM 98. They had allowed me to practice and do my internship there just to get some experience on that. But some things happened, and I kind of got lost out of radio, had to take care of family and everything like that. So I came back to Hattiesburg, got into the restaurant and retail industry, and and just start making a living to take care of my family. But my passion was still in radio. And this came about also when, in 1982, I believe, you opened up with WJMG on the FM.
Right. That's right.
Right. And I said, wow, we are in the big leagues now, because WJMG FM was able to go much further than your AM station.
That's right.
Can you tell us, how did you feel when you finally got that first FM radio station on play?
Well, there was competition even in getting that 92. There was some other applicants who wanted it, but we only had 1580, and we needed more coverage. We only wanted to expand on that coverage for the black community, and I felt like we had made progress there. Then we got the next station in 2005, a 25,000 watt station, 93.1. But these stations have served as the proving ground for blacks, as you mentioned, who wanted to get into radio for the first time. Many have gotten their first taste of broadcasting from these stations over the years. Some have gone to bigger cities like Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, and then some have wanted to get into radio just to counteract what we had done here. But that, you will find, is prevalent in the black community. But we feel satisfied, and we feel proud of what God has accomplished through our feeble efforts here.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. Let's switch up, because when I come to your station, there's a particular, I would say, flyer on the walls of Circuit Broadcast Company when you walk in.
Yeah.
And it talks, I can remember this when I was, I believe, a little boy. And it has to do with knowing God, and it also has to do with the Sabbath. And you gave you have up there a reward up there for $1,000. Can you explain that to our audience?
Well, yes, that reward has been offered over a period of maybe 15 years. I'm an ordered Bible student as well, but being in the technical field, I have always sought to find out what makes things work, the truth of the matter. And so I approach religion with the same, Christianity with the same idea of finding the truth. I have found that there is no Bible proof, nothing in the Bible that substantiates Sunday worship. Sunday is a Catholic institution, and its claims to observance can be defended only upon Catholic principles. I've offered a reward of $1,000, but it has never been collected. None of the disciples, Christ himself was a seventh-day worshiper, not a Sunday worshiper. All of the disciples were seventh-day worshipers. You will not find Sunday worship nowhere in the Bible, and we are not commanded to worship on Sunday.
Right, exactly. And here at the Men Empowered organization, with our research that we did, we have found this to be true. Because once you start researching and reading the Bible and not listening to man, you will know the truth. And then you will have to act upon the truth that you have discovered that is right there in that Bible.
That's right. We have presented some editorial dealing with that subject thoroughly. And then there are those who listen and say, well, I don't agree with that. Well, it's not that they don't agree with me. They're not agreeing with what is true. If they hear me say 2 and 2 is equal to 4, they're not disagreeing with me. They're disagreeing with what is true. And they are, in effect, disagreeing with what God has said in the Holy Writ.
Right, right. How do you feel about, how did you come to know God? Did someone push the Bible on you, or did you just pick up the Bible and just started to read for yourself, or who was your influence in knowing who God is?
Once again, it goes back to Tuskegee. I had a book that was called a history book, Worldwide History by Lucius S. Clay. And I studied about the creation of man, the Cro-Magnon man, the Piltdown man, and the Neanderthal man on the continent of Africa. And it comes on up to the Crusaders. It brought us on up to the beginning where Christ and the Crusaders and the disciples were. And I say we have sacred history and we have secular history. And if this is true, the Bible ought to bear this out. So I laid the Bible on one side and the history book on the other. And that's why I started studying and came up with the facts of the matter.
Wow, this is great. I hope my audience is listening to this real heavy, because this is some information that they can truly use to affect their life. Mr. Floyd, what about a book about your life? Because you are truly an icon here in the United States, not only here in Mississippi and in the Deep South, but far as an African American person, a person of color, or a Hebrew person, whatever you want to label yourself. I feel that people need to know your story of your struggles, of how you got started, your challenges that you have. Has someone approached you yet about a book of your life?
Well, no, I have thought to make a tape or a commentary or a film on what has happened, because I have come up in the ranks and I have had many challenges, as I said before. But I don't mind and I don't shrink from the tough ordeals of life. I'm a fighter, and that's what has brought me thus far. Of course, when people find out that that's what you're made of, you become a living human target. And people will get after you like a dog after a deer. And they will make sure they try to make your way hard. But it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. Christ is the master of my fate. Christ is the captain of my soul.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Floyd, are you doing a lot of speaking engagements, not only in Mississippi, but around the country? Have you been doing a lot of traveling in that? because with your story.
Yes, I have done some in Mobile and some in Hattiesburg. I used to do a Bible wisdom class here in Hattiesburg, and I'm an ardent student of the Bible, as mentioned before, and I love the truths contained therein because it will serve as a guiding star or a bit of philosophy that will keep you on course with what you should do. I feel that my roots, being a direct descendant of African descent, has aided in my pursuit of excellence in the field of electronics. However, I feel that God has led every step of the way. Proof of that is that Satan has waged wholesale war, and that's a sign to let you know that you're on the right track. When you're not doing anything, nobody bothers you.
Right. You just said it right there. Oh, wow. Well, I tell you, you are on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Most of my listeners listen to us when we are live, and plus also we have this particular broadcast in our archives. So there's going to be many, many people listening to this broadcast that we have done today. I can tell you approximately maybe about 3,000 listeners will hear this message probably within the next 48 hours or so, and it's going to be ongoing. And I know some of my colleagues at Blog Talk Radio will probably hear it and probably want to invite you as well on to their show, because you are a man of principle, you are a man of faith, and you represent the Most High well. And I know the African American community will appreciate, hopefully, I hope they appreciate the work that you have done and the work that you have sowed into not only just in Mississippi, but here in the United States. And I know you are a living legend.
Well, Mr. Herring, there are many who appreciate what has been done here by the help of God. On the other hand, there are those, not many, one person in particular, who walked in the doors of the station right now at 1204 Graveline Street and raked me over like I don't know who would have thought it for 2 hours. It's saying, I'm going to straighten you out. You're going to be a better businessman when I finish with you. And I didn't have to, but I had to take it because they could have claimed that I was assaulting a theologian. And we have encountered many difficulties from the black community as such. But I keep prodding on and hoping God will sustain me in my efforts, because I know unearned suffering is always redemptive, and that's what I look forward to. We've even had people to write declarations to the commission and lied on me, saying that they were afraid for their life and their family's life for fear of what Vernon Floyd might do, as if I am a vigilante. That was to poison the commission's mind against me and reduce the chances of us getting WGDQ. But in spite of that declaration that was sent to the commission granted it. And the WGDQ, which says God did it quickly, because at the point the commission's hands was tied and they had no other alternative other than to give it to us, in spite of the efforts that negative forces and people had put forth to reduce the efforts or reduce our chances of getting that 93.1, the most powerful station, 25,000 watts WGDQ.
Wow. If anyone wants to advertise with you, how can they contact the station? Is there a number that they can call the station?
Yes, they can call 601-544-1941, and we'll be happy to work with them. However, there are some noble people in Hattiesburg, and I hate to call names, but Mr. Mitchell, Willie Mitchell, Mr. Shahid, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Naylor. Those are good people that have stood by the station when the storms of life were raging. They stood by like the rock of Gibraltar, and I want to express thanks and appreciation to them for that. And there are others whom I could call, but I won't take out time to do that right now.
Well, Mr. Floyd, I tell you what, I been wanting to do that ever since I've been studying the truth about our people, plus opening up my Bible and reading it, and not just listening to a man that's on TV telling me about prosperity. I wanted to find out the truth. I wanted to find out about the truth of the Most High's Word. And you've been speaking this for quite some time in your editorials. And I knew something with all the forces that has been going on and everything about the words and everything. And I can agree with you 100% of everything that you have been speaking on in your editorials is absolutely the truth. And
well, Mr. Herring, I feel that, you responded to one of my editorials, but I have found most people don't have a commitment to salvation. When they go to church, they have a commitment. The church has, in fact, become like a club. They make their own rules. They don't care about what the Bible says or what is written. That's why we have those editorials. It is written, because whatever we present, you can find it in the scriptures or either in history. There's no secret there. And truth is as eternal as God himself.
Yes, absolutely. For the past 45, 50 minutes, you've been listening to the owner-operator, Mr. Vernon C. Floyd, right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Circuit Broadcast Company, 1204 Gravel Line Street, right here in beautiful Hattiesburg, Mississippi. To get in contact far as getting connected with this great line of network stations, you can give them a call at 601-544-1941. And I'm sure if you have any kind of product or services that you want the Hattiesburg and Laurel community to know about, I'm sure someone there at the station will be glad to help you with that. Mr. Floyd, yes, sir, go ahead.
That is perfectly right. They can call anytime they want to, and we'll be happy to serve you. For we are in this position as a servant of God and man, so we'll be happy to serve.
Absolutely. Any final comments, Mr. Floyd, before we leave you today?
Well, I'm not a person that likes to be in the fanfares and the bright lights of society. The mission is bigger than the man, so that's what we look forward to, is letting the mission go as an instrument in God's hands, not in our hands so much as it is in God's hands, for the betterment of people, all people everywhere.
Okay. Now, there's a celebration going on, I believe, this month in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You all have been broadcasting now, I believe, for over 44 years?
That's right.
Okay. Can you touch on that, where the celebration will be? Or
that is planned by Reverend Nathan Jordan and many others, as well as the staff themselves. And I'm proud of the staff that we have now. But it'll be on the 30th of this month, I believe it is, where we will celebrate what has been done over the years and the progress that has been made in many areas.
And I'm sure if anybody wants more information on that celebration, they can give the station a call and find out more information. Once again, that phone number is area code 601-544-1941, and you can ask about the celebration that is going to be going on this month right here in my hometown, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Well, Mr.
That's
Floyd.
right. And if they want to call and make comments as to what the station has meant to them, they are open and free to do that.
Great. Well, Mr. Floyd, it has been a pleasure. We're going to have to do this again, so I will be talking to you again soon down the road, and we'll definitely have to have you back here on the Let's Talk show on the Men Empowered Radio show right here at Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harry.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir, and you have a good afternoon.
And the same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Be blessed.